Welcome to the One Life podcast with Behka White. This is episode 61, Your Independent Will. Earlier this week, we discussed happiness as a state of being and how our belief about ourselves affects this state. We also discussed creation as a principle of happiness. This is one of the 4 human endowments as described by Stephen Covey. The other 3 human endowments are our independent will, our conscience, and self-awareness. Today we will touch on our independent will as it relates to happiness. In the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, Viktor Frankl learned this truth. He said, quote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom," end quote. And I would add our happiness. Because it is in that space, as we are choosing our response, we are also choosing our state of being. Because our power to act is a divine gift, when our independent will is restricted, our happiness is also restricted. When our will is expanded, so is our happiness. I have come to know that this space between stimulus and response is a sacred space because it is our power. In my mind, I have it drawn like a box. There are things we can do to expand our box, and there are things we can do to restrict our box. From personal experience, possibly the fastest way to unhappiness is to be caught in addiction of any kind. When the divine gift of our agency is limited, the human spirit suffers. Addiction takes away our ability to choose something different. I feel like our culture is really trying to support those in addiction, and new information is always forthcoming. I really love British journalist Johann Hari's perspective. He said, quote, "The opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection," end quote. He cites a study done in the 70s and 80s where rats were left alone in a cage with 2 bottles of water, one laced with heroin. All of the rats eventually overdosed. Bruce Alexander, another researcher, was bothered by the study because the rats were all left alone in small cages. He reworked the study by preparing Rat Park, which was a considerably larger cage that included hamster wheels, multicolored balls, plenty of tasty food, and space for mating and raising litters. He placed 20 rats of both genders in the new Rat Park and mirrored the old experiment of 1 bottle of water and 1 bottle of heroin water. In the new Rat Park environment, the heroin was ignored. The rats showed more interest in rat activities like playing, fighting, eating, and mating. In this experiment, he discovered that with social stimulation and connection, the addiction to the heroin water disappeared. Even the rats who had previously preferred heroin water in isolation left it alone once they were introduced to Rat Park. I love the concept of Rat Park. Rats are very social creatures. Humans are also very social creatures, and we crave connection with one another. Each one of us lives in the human park that we have designed for ourselves. Look at your park. What do you love about your park? What would you like to change about your park? Does anything need updating? How are your connections with the people that you love? Do any of those connections need strengthening? As you continue to update and expand your park, you are also expanding your box. Your park is more compelling than heroin water. The invitation today is to examine your independent will box. What ways are you expanding your box? What ways are you restricting it? It is a sacred space. Protect it. It is your power, and no one can take it away from you. It is one of your divine gifts given to you so that you can live your very best life.